I died when I was 7 years old. My heart stopped for 4 minutes, and during those 4 minutes, I saw things that will happen in December 2025. Jesus showed me 5 days, December 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Days that will change everything. Days that will separate light from darkness. And he sent me to warn you. I know you may not believe me. I'm just a child. But what you're about to hear will move you, because this isn't fantasy. This is real. And time is running out. I died. I know it sounds strange for a kid to say that, but I really died. My heart stopped. The doctors told my dad afterward, 4 minutes. 4 minutes when I wasn't here, but I was somewhere else. A place that I don't even know how to explain. You know, when you try to describe a dream and the words never come out right. Kind of like that. Except it wasn't a dream. It felt more real than anything I've ever seen in my life. I'm 7 years old. My name is, well, my dad doesn't want me to say my full name, so you can call me Ben. I love video games, playing outside with my dog, and I hate broccoli. I'm just a normal kid. At least I was, until that day, the day everything changed. I was playing at home, and suddenly everything went dark. My chest hurt so much, and I fell. When I woke up, I wasn't in my body anymore. I know that's hard to believe. My dad didn't believe it at first either, but then I told him things I couldn't possibly know, things that happened while I was dead. And then he cried. He hugged me so tight and cried because he knew it was real, that I had gone somewhere and that I came back with a message. Jesus talked to me. He showed me things that are going to happen in December 2025. It's almost here. He showed me days, 5 days, the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. He said those days will change everything, that people will see things they've never seen before, that angels will appear, that some people will feel God in a way they never have, and some people will choose to stay far away forever. I don't understand everything I saw. I'm just a kid. But Jesus asked me to tell it. He said, Ben, you need to warn them. And my dad said, yes. He said we would tell everyone. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to tell you everything I saw, everything that happened to me from the moment I collapsed to the moment I woke up and saw my dad crying next to me. Do you believe in heaven? Do you believe God is real? Because after you hear my story, you'll have to decide. It was just a regular Tuesday. I remember because Tuesday is the day I don't have gym class, and I'm always a little bummed about that. I had gotten home from school about an hour earlier. My backpack was tossed on the couch, and I was playing with my toy cars on the living room floor. My dad was in the kitchen doing something. I think he was making coffee. I could hear him messing with the pans. Everything was normal. Everything was just the same as always. Then out of nowhere, I started feeling dizzy. You know when you spin and then stop? No, that kind of dizzy, except I hadn't spun at all. I was just sitting there. I stopped playing and put my hand on my head. I thought it would go away, but it didn't. It got worse. And then came the pain, a pain in my chest, right in the middle, like someone was squeezing my heart with their hand. I tried to call my dad. I swear I did, but my voice wouldn't come out. I opened my mouth and nothing. Just a weird sound, like a heavy breath. Then my legs started shaking. I remember looking at the little red car in my hand. It fell, made a noise on the hardwood floor. That's when my dad looked over. He came running from the kitchen. I saw his face change. You know when a grown-up is really, truly scared? It was like that. He shouted my name, loud, really loud. I had never seen my dad like that. He picked me up fast and I felt my whole body go limp. Like when you wake up in the morning and you're still half asleep, but worse. I couldn't even hold my head up. It flopped to the side. I saw the room in a weird way, kind of tilted. The lights on the ceiling looked so bright, too bright, and the sound started fading. I could hear my dad, but it was like he was far away, so far away. He put me down on the floor again. I felt the cold on my back. He was talking on the phone. I think he called 911. He was saying, my son, please hurry. His voice was breaking. He was crying, trying not to cry. You know when someone tries to be strong, but they just can't? I wanted to tell him it was okay, but I couldn't talk. I couldn't even move. My body wouldn't listen to me anymore. The last thing I remember before everything went black was my dad's hand on my face. He was brushing my hair back. He was saying, stay with me, please. And I wanted to stay. I really did, but something inside me was leaving, like I was being pulled down, deep, away, and then black. Everything went black. When everything went black, I felt something strange. It wasn't like falling asleep. It wasn't fainting. It was like dropping into a really deep hole with nothing to hold on to. My stomach did that elevator thing, you know, when it drops fast and you feel like you're floating. Except this didn't stop. It just kept going and going and going. And then I saw a tunnel. I know everyone talks about tunnels in these stories, but it's because they're real. There really was a tunnel. It was dark along the edges, but in the center there was a light. Not like a lamp or anything. This light felt alive, like it was calling me, and I was moving toward it, fast, really fast. I tried to look back, but I couldn't. It was like I didn't have a body anymore. It was just me, just my thoughts, just my soul, I guess. I didn't know if I should be scared, but I wasn't. I felt curious. Meanwhile, where my body was, my dad was desperate. I didn't see it then, but when I came back, I knew. I knew things that happened while I was gone. My dad told me later, and I repeated things he hadn't mentioned, like he grabbed my wrist, couldn't find a pulse. He yelled my name again, shook my shoulder, nothing. I was there, but I wasn't. My body was shutting down, like when you turn off a video game and the screen goes dark. The ambulance arrived. I heard later it took 6 minutes. But to my dad, it felt like forever. He said he stayed right beside me the whole time, holding my hand, talking to me, talking to God too. He was praying out loud, crying, begging God not to take me. He's just a kid. He's just a kid, he kept saying. And I think God heard him, just not in the way my dad expected. The paramedics rushed in. They turned me on my side, checked my mouth, put those pads on my chest to listen for a heartbeat. One of them looked at the other and said, "No, there's nothing." My dad made a sound I'll never forget, even though I wasn't there. It was like a trapped scream, like when you want to shout but the air won't come. They lifted me onto a stretcher and ran. My dad followed. He got into the ambulance with me, and while all of this was happening, I was in the tunnel, moving toward the light. My body was shutting down, but my spirit was waking up in a way I'd never felt before. I didn't know where I was going, but something inside me knew that I wasn't dying. I was beginning to see what's actually real, and the light got closer and closer until I crossed through. When I went through the light, I stopped feeling that falling sensation. It was like when you dive into a pool and then come back up for air. I took kind of a breath, but without air. I can't really explain it. And then I opened my eyes, but they weren't my normal eyes. It was different. I was seeing, but not with the eyes of my body. I was seeing with something else. And what I saw scared me. I was floating, like actually floating, near the ceiling. I looked down and saw the hospital's emergency room. There were people running everywhere, doctors in blue scrubs, nurses holding shiny things, scissors, tubes, and in the middle of all that was me, my body, lying on a stretcher, pale, still, eyes closed, and I thought, wait, that's me? It was so strange to see my own body like that. Like when you look at a photo of yourself and think, is that what I really look like? But this was worse, because I was down there and up here at the same time, watching. I saw a doctor place those paddles on my chest, the ones that give shocks. He shouted, "Clear!" And my body jumped, just like in the movies. But I didn't feel anything, nothing at all, because I wasn't in there anymore. Then I saw my dad. He was in a corner of the room, leaning against the wall, hands on his face, his shoulders shaking. He was crying hard. A nurse stood beside him, trying to calm him, but he wouldn't stop. He just kept saying, No, no, no. I wanted to go down. I wanted to shout, "Dad, I'm here. I'm okay." But I couldn't. My mouth didn't move. My voice didn't come out. I could only watch. And it hurt. It hurt to see him like that. I had never seen my dad cry. Not even when Grandma died. He was always the strong one, the one who held everything together. But now he was broken. He looked at my body on the stretcher and made that sound again. That strangled cry. And I felt pain in my chest. Not physical pain, soul pain, because I knew I was making him suffer. And I didn't want that. I just wanted him to know I was okay, that I was alive. In a different way, but alive. The doctors tried again, more shocks. My body jumped again. Nothing. One of them looked at the clock on the wall and said something I didn't understand. But I saw it in his face. He was giving up. They were giving up on me, and that's when I looked up toward the ceiling and realized the ceiling wasn't there anymore. There was light, so much light, and the darkness I thought would come never came. The dark didn't come, the light did, and it was warm, it was good, it was love, pure love. The light pulled me, not like being yanked by force, more like when your mom calls you for dinner and you go because you want to. You go because it feels right. That's how it was. I went because I wanted to, and the higher I went, the brighter the light became. But it didn't hurt my eyes. It was the opposite. It was like waking up in the morning with sunlight coming through the window. That peaceful, cozy warmth, only 1,000 times better, 1,000,000 times better. When I arrived, I don't even know what to call that place. Heaven, paradise, I don't know, but it was beautiful, more beautiful than anything that exists here. You know those Disney movies with castles and glowing flowers? It was like that, but real. Everything shone. The colors were shades I'd never seen before. Like we have blue here on Earth, right? But there it was a different kind of blue, a blue that made my heart happy just by looking at it. There was purple, gold, green, and colors that don't even have names. And there was music, but not music like we hear on the radio. It was like if happiness made a sound. Like if love could sing. No words, just sound. A sound that entered deep inside me and made everything in me vibrate. My chest, my head, even my feet. Everything vibrated with the music, and I started to cry, but not sad crying. It was joy, like when you get the Christmas gift you always wanted, but 1,000 times greater. I looked around and saw people, lots of people, but they were different. They glowed too, like light was shining from within them. And everyone looked happy, smiling, some hugging, some dancing, and they all seemed to know me. They looked at me and smiled like, welcome. And I felt at home. I know it sounds weird, but I felt more at home there than in my actual house. There were flowers too, huge flowers, bigger than me, and they moved on their own like they were dancing to the music. And there was water, a river, but the water was like liquid, crystal. Everything sparkled like light lived inside it, and when I looked into the water, I saw my reflection. But it wasn't like how I look here. I was glowing too. Light was coming out of me, and I thought, wow, is this what I really look like? And the best part, the very best part was the feeling of love. And there was no fear there, no sadness, no pain, no worry, only love. Love so big I couldn't contain it inside me. It was like being hugged by God, constantly, every second. And never in my life had I ever felt so safe, so loved, so whole. And then I heard a voice that made everything even more real. And the voice said my name, my real name, not the nickname my friends use, not the one on my birth certificate, my true name, the one only God knows. And when I heard it, I knew who it was. I turned slowly. My heart was beating fast, not from fear, but from expectation. Like when you know you're about to see someone really important. And then I saw him, Jesus. He was standing right in front of me. And I can't fully explain what he looked like because everything about him shone. He was tall, taller than my dad. He had long brown hair and a beard, but that wasn't what stood out. It was his eyes. His eyes were like the ocean, like the sky, like everything good in the world combined. And when he looked at me, I felt he knew me, knew everything about me, every single thing. And still, he loved me, he smiled, and his smile made the whole place even brighter, like turning on another light in an already glowing room. He opened his arms and I ran. I ran like I do to my dad when he comes home from work. And he caught me, hugged me. And in that hug, I felt everything. I felt all the love he has for me, all the love he has for people. And it was so much love that I started crying again, crying hard. He ran his hand through my hair, the way my dad does when I'm upset. And he said, "I've known you since before you were born. I chose you. I love you." And his voice was soft yet powerful, like thunder and a whisper at the same time. I buried my face in his chest, and he let me. He didn't say, "Stop crying." He didn't say, "Be strong." He just stood there, holding me, waiting until I was ready. When I lifted my head, he wiped my tears with his thumb. And he said, "And Ben, you need to go back." My heart sank. I didn't want to go back. I wanted to stay there forever with him in that place. But before I could say anything, he put his hand on my shoulder and said, "You have a mission, something very important you must do, something only you can do." I looked into his eyes, confused, and asked, "Me? But I'm just a kid." He smiled again, that smile that warms you from the inside, and said, "Exactly. Children speak the truth, and what I'm going to show you needs to be told with truth, without fear, without doubt. You will tell what I show you, and people will listen. Some will believe, others won't. But you will do your part. Are you ready?" I swallowed hard. I didn't know if I was ready, but I knew that if Jesus was asking, then it was important, really important. So I said, "Yes." And then he showed me. Jesus raised his right hand, and out of nowhere, something appeared in front of us. It was like a giant screen, but it wasn't a TV. It was made of light, golden light that shone and moved like glowing water in the air. And inside that light, there was a calendar, a real calendar with numbers, with days, with months. And Jesus pointed at it and said, "Look, pay attention." So I looked. The calendar started flipping fast. January, February, March. The months flew by until it stopped. It stopped in December of 2025. And Jesus touched the light screen and it zoomed in. Only the month of December stayed there, big, right in front of me. And there were some days that were different, 5 days. They were shining brighter than the others, like they were marked with a golden pen. They were the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. And my heart pounded when I saw them. Jesus looked at me and said, "These 5 days will change everything." I frowned. I didn't understand. "Change what?" I asked, and he said, "Change the world, change hearts, change the course of history." He was serious, really serious. This wasn't a joke. And he went on. "On these days, the Father will move in a way humanity hasn't seen in a long time. Signs in the sky, signs on the earth, signs in hearts, and each person will have to choose." I felt a chill in my stomach, that kind of chill when you know something big is going to happen. Jesus put his hand on my shoulder again and said, "You're going to see what will happen on each of these days. I will show you, and you will remember. When you return, you will remember everything, and you will tell it. Do you understand?" I nodded. My whole body was shaking, not from fear, from something huge, too big to fit inside me. He touched the first day, the 20th, and the light screen started to change. It began showing images like a movie, but it wasn't a movie, it was real. I saw people, places, things happening, and everything was so clear, so vivid, it felt like I was there in the middle of it all. And Jesus explained slowly, patiently, because he knew I was just a child, but he also knew that I would understand. Deep down, I would understand. And then he started showing me what would happen on each day, every detail, every moment. And as he showed me, I felt it. I felt the importance. I felt the weight. I felt that this wasn't just a vision. This was a warning from God to the world And I was going to be the voice, the little voice of a 7-year-old child. But sometimes God chooses the small ones to do big things. And I was about to see something that would change my life and maybe the lives of many people. Jesus touched the number 20 and the screen filled with images. I saw the whole world, like the whole planet from above. And there was a light coming from the sky, a soft light, like a glowing wind, slowly coming down over cities, over houses, over people. And Jesus said, on this day, I will touch hearts. Millions of people all over the world will feel something they can't explain. A tightness in their chest, a desire to cry, a longing for something they don't even know how to name. I saw people stopping in the middle of the street, people dropping their phones, people stepping out of their cars and looking up at the sky, and there were tears. So many people crying. Some knelt right there on the sidewalk, in the supermarket, at work, and they didn't know why. They just felt that God was near, very near. And there were people who resisted, who shook their heads, wiped their tears, and kept walking, pretending they hadn't felt anything. But they had. Everyone would feel it. Jesus pointed to a woman in a kitchen. She was washing dishes, and suddenly she stopped. The water kept running, but she didn't move. Her hands were shaking, and she started to cry. She fell to her knees right there in front of the sink and started to pray, and her prayer went up like golden smoke. I saw the smoke rising, until it reached heaven, and Jesus smiled. She is one of mine, he said. She was lost, but today she will find me again. I saw churches, many churches, and in some, people started feeling the same thing. A weight in the air, a deep silence, even with people talking, and some pastors stopped in the middle of their sermon. They stopped and started to cry because they felt God's presence in a way they hadn't felt in years. And in some churches, the music stopped, the band stopped, and everyone stayed in silence, just listening to God speak without words. But there were also churches that didn't feel anything. I saw that too. There were big churches, beautiful, full of people, with colored lights, loud music, people jumping and shouting. But there was no presence. God wasn't there. It was just noise. And the people kept doing their show without realizing God was passing by outside, calling, but they didn't hear because they didn't want to hear. And that made me sad, very sad. Jesus put his hand on my shoulder and said, the 20th is the call. It's the touch. It is God saying, I am here. Seek me. Come back to me. Some will answer, others will ignore it, but no one will go through this day without feeling it, not even atheists, not even those who hate me. Everyone will feel it, and what each one does with that feeling will define what comes next. And then the screen changed. It changed to the 21st, and I knew it was going to get heavier or better, depending on who you were. The number 21 shone brighter, and the images that appeared were heavy. Jesus said, on this day, division will begin, the separation between the churches that truly love me and the churches that only use my name. I saw churches again, but this time it was different. In some, God's light came in through the doors, through the windows, and filled everything. His presence was so strong that people fell to the floor, crying, confessing sins, asking for forgiveness, hugging, reconciling. I saw a man asking his wife for forgiveness right there in front of everyone. He was on his knees, holding her hand, crying, and she cried too, and they hugged, and God's light covered them both. Jesus pointed and said, these are the ones who will be transformed, the ones who will allow me to break their pride, their bitterness, their sin. These will see miracles. And I saw it. I saw people being healed. An old lady got up from a wheelchair. A man who was blind started to see, and everyone shouted, cried, worshiped. But then the screen showed other churches, big churches, beautiful, packed with people, and nothing happened. The pastor kept talking, the band kept playing, people kept clapping, taking selfies, checking their phones, and God wasn't there. The light didn't come in. It stayed outside. knocking on the door, and no one opened because they didn't want God for real. They wanted the show, they wanted the emotion, they wanted the money, but they didn't want to surrender. Jesus paused and said, "On this day, many religious leaders will be exposed. Their hearts will be revealed, and the people will see who truly serves me and who serves themselves." I saw pastors being confronted. I saw one being thrown out of his own church by the members because they discovered his lies. I saw another one falling to his knees, confessing everything, asking for forgiveness, and God forgave him. But there were some who hardened their hearts, who denied everything, who ran, and the light did not follow them. And there was something else, something that gave me chills. Jesus showed ordinary people, people who didn't go to church, people who had never prayed, and God appeared to them in dreams, in visions, in the middle of the street, and they fell to their knees, trembling, saying, I saw Jesus, he is real." And some ran to churches, desperate, wanting to know more, but others were confused, afraid, and didn't know what to do. And then came the following days that would reveal even more. The number 22 appeared, and this time the earth shook, not just in the vision. I could feel it in the vision itself. Jesus said, "On this day, creation will groan. The earth will respond to what is happening in the spiritual realm." And I saw earthquakes, but they weren't normal earthquakes. They happened in strange places that never had earthquakes. And people were terrified. The news couldn't stop talking. Unexplained earthquake. Scientists have no answers. And it was because it was God shaking the earth to wake people up. But the most amazing thing was that in some places, people were protected. Like the building collapsed, but one family survived completely, without a scratch. I saw a house still standing in the middle of everything destroyed around it, and the family who lived there was on their knees, praying, giving thanks. And the neighbors watched, shocked, and asked, "How did you?" And they answered, "It was God. God protected us." And that made more people believe. And there was something else, angels. Jesus said, "On this day, the angels will appear, especially to children." And I saw it. I saw children pointing at the sky and saying, "Look, Mommy, there's someone there." And the adults looked, but they didn't see anything. But the children saw. They saw huge shining angels with wings standing in the streets and squares and schools. And the children weren't afraid. They smiled, they waved, and the angels waved back. There was one little girl, really tiny, who ran up to an angel and hugged his leg. And the angel knelt down, picked her up, and said something in her ear, and she laughed out loud. And her mom saw her daughter up in the air, like being held by something invisible, and panicked. But the girl shouted, "Mommy, the shining man said that God loves you and that you don't have to be afraid anymore." And the mother started to cry, and she fell to her knees, and she accepted Jesus right there. Jesus looked at me and said, "Children will be my witnesses on this day because they believe without questioning, and the adults will have to choose to believe what their children are seeing, or call it imagination." I saw parents believing, and I saw parents taking their kids to psychologists, and that made me sad. But Jesus said, each one makes their own choice. And then the screen changed again to the 23rd. And I felt things speeding up. The number 23 pulsed like a beating heart. And Jesus said, "This is the day of the great harvest, the day when the hardest hearts will break, the day when the lost will be found." And I saw things I never imagined. I saw criminals, gang members, people who had killed, stolen, done horrible things, and they started to feel something, a weight, a crushing guilt, and they fell to the ground, screaming, crying, asking for forgiveness. I saw a man in a prison cell. He was lying on his bed, staring at the ceiling, and suddenly a light entered the cell, and he saw Jesus. He saw Jesus standing in front of him, And he froze, and Jesus just looked at him, didn't say anything, just looked. And that man started to cry so hard that the other inmates thought he was going crazy, but he wasn't. He was being set free on the inside, and he started to shout, "Forgive me, I'm a monster, but forgive me." And Jesus said, "You are forgiven." And that man changed forever. I saw politicians, powerful people, rich people who had never cared about God, and they started having visions in the middle of meetings, in the middle of dinners, live on TV, and they stopped talking and stared straight ahead like they were seeing something no one else could see. And then they dropped to their knees and confessed in front of everyone, and the world was shocked. Social media exploded. What's going on? Why is everyone losing their minds? But it wasn't madness. It was God. I saw atheists, people who had spent their whole lives saying God doesn't exist, and they started having encounters, real encounters with Jesus, with angels, and they couldn't deny it anymore, because you can't deny what you see with your own eyes. And many of them converted right there in the street, at work, and they started preaching. People who used to hate the church now loved Jesus, and that confused everyone, but it was real, very real. And Jesus said, on this day, the harvest will be so great that churches won't have enough room for so many people. People will gather in homes, in streets, in parks. They will worship, they will testify, they will bring more people, and the light will spread like fire, holy fire. And I saw it. I saw crowds singing in the streets. I saw people hugging, crying, praying together. And God's presence was so strong, that even those who didn't believe felt it. And they had to decide, accept or reject. The number 24 shone brighter than all the others. And Jesus grew serious, very serious. He said, "This is the day of the final separation, the day when light and darkness will divide once and for all." And the screen showed Jerusalem, the whole city, and in the middle of the city, an explosion of light. But it wasn't a bomb, it was an explosion of glory. A golden, radiant light bursting from the ground, rising to the sky, and spreading across the entire world. I saw the light crossing oceans, mountains, cities, and wherever the light passed, people changed. Those who loved the light shone. Like literally, their skin gave off a soft glow, and they looked at each other, startled, happy, and said, "What's happening to us?" And Jesus said, "These are mine, those who chose the light, and now the light lives in them, visible, for everyone to see." But those who rejected the light grew darker. It's not that they turned black, but their presence became heavy, shadowed, and they couldn't bear to be near those who had the light. It hurt, like it physically hurt, and they started to move away, to cluster together, and they formed the other side, the side of darkness, and the division was clear, crystal clear. You could look at someone and you knew which side the person was on, and there was persecution. Jesus showed me that after this day, those who chose darkness would turn against those who chose light. They would try to put out the light. They would imprison, hurt, kill, and many of those who shone would suffer. But Jesus said, "Do not be afraid, because whoever dies for me will wake up here with me forever." And even knowing that, it hurt. It hurt to see what was coming. Jesus touched my face, wiped away a tear I didn't even know was falling, and said, "The 24th is the beginning of the end. It is the day when the world will realize that I am coming back soon, very soon. And no one will be able to say they weren't warned, because I warned them through dreams, visions, signs, and through you." He looked deep into my eyes. "Do you understand, Ben?" And I nodded. I had understood, and now I had to tell it. Jesus let the light screen fade away. It slowly disappeared like smoke, and it was just him and me there in that beautiful place, full of light. He knelt in front of me. He came down to my height, and he held my shoulders with both hands, and he said, Now you need to understand what comes after, what happens when those 5 days end. And I swallowed hard because I knew it was going to be heavy, very heavy. He raised his hand again and another vision appeared. But this time it wasn't a screen. It was like I was inside it, seeing everything happening around me. I saw the world after the 24th, and the world was divided, split in two. There were the people who shined and the people who didn't, and they didn't mix anymore. It was like two different worlds on the same planet. The people who had the light, they lived differently. They helped each other, shared food, took care of one another, and miracles were happening all the time. I saw a man praying for a sick child, and the child got up from the bed, healed. I saw a woman praying for food, and food appeared at her doorstep, like someone had left it there, but no one saw who it was. It was the angels. Jesus said, "I will take care of mine, always." But the other side, the side of darkness, was different. The people there were angry, very angry, angry at God, angry at Christians, angry at everything. And they started organizing themselves, making laws against the ones who had the light, laws that forbade praying in public, laws that forbade speaking about Jesus, and whoever disobeyed was arrested or worse. And I saw people being taken, shining people being dragged to prisons, to camps, to dark places. But the strangest thing was that the people of the light didn't react with violence. They went peacefully, singing, praying, and even when they were beaten, when they were hurt, they didn't fight back. They just loved. And that made the other side even angrier because they didn't understand. They didn't understand how someone could love like that, how someone could forgive like that. And the more they persecuted, the more the light spread. Because the testimony of those people touched hearts, even the hearts of their enemies. Jesus said, after these 5 days, the world will enter a new era, the era of separation, the era of the final harvest, and everything I spoke in the scriptures will begin to be fulfilled quickly. He paused, looked at me with sadness in his eyes, and said, "Many will die for me, but they lost nothing. They gained everything because they will wake up here with me, while the world down there will sink deeper and deeper into darkness until the day I return. And when I return, everything will change forever." Jesus looked at me for a while. I don't know how long, because there was no clock there, no time. It was like eternal. But then he sighed and said, "It's time, Ben. You need to go back." And my heart tightened, truly tightened. I didn't want to go. I wanted to stay there with him forever. I held his hand tight and said, "I don't want to go back. Please, let me stay here with you." He smiled, that sad but loving smile, and said, I know you want to stay, but your mission isn't finished yet. You still have something very important to do down there. And when it's done, you will return, I promise. And then you will stay here with me forever, but it's not time yet." And he gently let go of my hand, and I felt an emptiness in my chest, a huge emptiness that hurt. Then I felt something, like a rope pulling me backward. I looked down and saw that tunnel again, the tunnel of light. But this time, I was being pulled down, back, and the music started getting quieter. The colors started disappearing, and I started crying a lot, and I shouted, "Jesus, I don't want to go." And he said, loud enough for me to hear even from far away, "Be strong and courageous. I am with you always." And then everything sped up. I went down the tunnel fast, very fast. I felt that elevator stomach feeling again, and the more I went down, the heavier I felt, like I was gaining weight again, and I started to feel my body. I felt my fingers, I felt my feet, I felt my chest, and it hurt. It hurt a lot because my body had been shut down for a while, and now it was turning back on, and it felt like when your leg falls asleep and you stand up and it hurts like crazy. It was like that. But in the whole body, I heard sounds, muffled sounds, like when you're underwater and you hear people talking above. I heard a voice. It was my dad. He was shouting, come back to me, please." And I wanted to answer. I wanted to say, "I'm here, Dad," but I couldn't. My mouth wouldn't move. My body wouldn't obey. It was like being trapped inside myself. And then I felt it. I felt my heart. It gave a jump, a punch from the inside, and it started beating slowly. Thump, thump, thump. And suddenly, I opened my eyes, and the first thing I saw was a white light. But it wasn't the light of heaven. It was the hospital light, those bright ceiling lights, and it hurt my eyes. I took a breath, like when you stay underwater too long and come up for air. It was a big, loud gasp, and I heard people shouting, "He's back! He's breathing! My God, he's back!" And I turned my head slowly and saw my dad. He was right next to me, holding my hand, and his face was wet with tears, and he looked at me and smiled and cried even more. My dad hugged me. He hugged me so tight I could barely breathe, but I didn't care because I had missed him. Even after being in heaven, even after seeing Jesus, I had missed my dad, and now he was here holding me, crying on my shoulder. And he kept repeating, "You came back, you came back, thank God you came back." And I cried too. Cried a lot because everything felt so different now. The doctors came, they asked a bunch of questions. "Do you remember your name? Do you know where you are? Do you feel any pain?" And I answered slowly because my voice was weak, like a whisper, but they were impressed. One of them told another, "It doesn't make sense. He was 4 minutes without a heartbeat. There should be brain damage, but he's perfect." And my dad looked at me, and I looked at him, and he knew something had happened. When we were alone in the room, he sat at the edge of the bed, held my hand, and said, "Ben, what happened?" And I took a deep breath, and I started telling him. I told him everything. The tunnel, the light, heaven, Jesus, the calendar, the 5 days, everything. And as I talked, his face kept changing. At first he looked confused, then scared, then moved. And when I finished, he didn't say anything. He just looked at me with tears in his eyes. Then he asked, "Are you sure? Are you sure it was real?" And I said, "I am. It was more real than anything, Dad. More real than this." And he swallowed hard and said, "I believe you." And that made me cry again because I was scared he wouldn't believe me, that he'd think I dreamed it or that I went crazy because I died. But he believed me from the beginning. And he said, "If Jesus gave you a mission, we're going to fulfill it together." In the following days, I started remembering more things Jesus showed me that I hadn't noticed at the time, details, names, places. And I told my dad, and he wrote everything down, everything. He said, "We need to record this because if this is true, the world needs to know." And I felt a weight, a big weight, because I'm just a kid. I'm 7 years old. How am I supposed to warn the world? How will anyone take me seriously? But then I remembered what Jesus said. He said he would be with me always, and that I just needed to obey, just needed to tell it, and he would do the rest. So I took a deep breath, looked at my dad, and said, "Dad, we need to tell it now." Jesus said, "The time is now. December is coming, and people need to get ready." And my dad nodded and said, "Then we will tell it." And that's how everything started. That's how you're hearing this story now, because I came back with a message, and that message is for you. I know this all sounds like a lot. I know. Sometimes I wake up at night wondering if it was real, but then I close my eyes and I see the face of Jesus. I hear his voice. I feel his love. And I know it was real as I'm here right now, as real as you're listening to me. And if Jesus told me to share this, it's because you need to hear it. You, the person watching this right now, December 2025 is coming. There are only a few days left, and the days Jesus showed me, the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, they will happen. I don't know if you believe me. I don't know if you think I'm just a kid with a big imagination. But let me ask you something. What if it's true? What if everything I saw actually happens? Are you ready? Is your heart ready? Because Jesus said those days will reveal what's inside every person. and you can't fake it, you can't hide, God will see, and you will have to choose. Do you believe in God? Have you ever given your life to Him? Or do you just go to church once in a while? Or not at all, because Jesus showed me there are a lot of people who say they love Him, but they don't really love Him. They just like the idea of Him. But when He asks for something, they don't obey. And in those 5 days, those people will be exposed, and they will have to truly decide to stay with Him or stay far away. And if you've never believed, if you think God doesn't exist, I'm asking you, pay attention. Pay attention to your heart on those days, because Jesus said He's going to touch everyone, even those who don't believe. And when you feel that tightness in your chest, that urge to cry, that sense that someone is calling you, don't ignore it, please. Don't be like the people I saw in the vision, the ones who felt it, but turn their backs, because it might be your last chance to choose the light. I don't know what's going to happen to me after telling all this. I don't know if people will believe me. I don't know if they'll laugh at me or call me a liar, but I don't care, because Jesus asked me to tell it, and I'm going to obey, even being a kid, even being afraid, because He said He would be with me, and I trust Him more than I trust anything. So I did my part. I told you. Now it's on you. These 5 days will change everything. Prepare your heart. Ask forgiveness for your sins. If you hurt someone, ask for forgiveness. If you're far from God, come back now, because time is running out. Jesus is coming back. I saw it. He's coming back. And when He returns, there won't be any more second chances. So choose today. Choose the light. Choose Jesus, because He loves you. He showed me that. He loves every person, even the ones who hate Him. And He's waiting for you to come back to Him. Don't leave it for later. Don't wait for tomorrow. Do it now, please. These 5 days, Jesus showed me, they're a warning of love, because God doesn't want anyone to be lost. He wants everyone to come back to Him, but He doesn't force it. He invites, He calls, and you have to respond. So I'm asking you, will you respond? Will you open your heart? Will you repent of your sins and accept Jesus, because He's waiting. He's waiting for you with open arms, full of love, full of forgiveness. Don't let this message pass you by. Don't ignore it, because it might be the last time you hear it, the last time God speaks to you. Choose the light, choose Jesus, choose life. And when those days come, you will be ready, you'll shine. And when Jesus returns, you will be with Him forever. If this story touched your soul, subscribe to Brits Beyond and walk with us through more journeys beyond life and death.